Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're here, we're alive. Hopefully, you all can see and hear me clearly. If you can, please drop a one in the live chat. And where's Deneen Grant? Deneen Grant better be here because she was bugging me 2 days ago saying, "Are you going to show your face today?" I haven't showed my face in a while. And now I don't see Deneen Grant anywhere in sight. You see, now because of Deneen Grant, I'm going to make sure the next 10 live streams, I'm not going to show my face. Okay. And I see the one, I see the ones coming in. That's great. Perfect. Let me just check this other connection briefly. Uh-oh. See, I almost messed up. Almost messed up. Pardon me. It might appear as if I dropped out for a brief moment, but then I'm going to come right back in. Okay? So don't worry. I'm still here. Okay, it appears that I'm good. It didn't drop me off and bring me back in. If you've all been subscribed to my channel long enough, you know about me and my Ethernet cord, right? You know, always got to make sure I have that plugged in before the stream, and I never seem to. But let's get into today's show, okay? So before we do so, though, please make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already. I believe there are currently 167 people in here right now, so please hit the like button if you have not already. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new to it, hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. And please make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms to spread the word on this, on what's going on in Chicago right now, and so that people know that I'm live right now. Because in my opinion, I feel that what's currently happening in Chicago right now is very important, right? Is very important, and what we're seeing right now is a minor victory that's occurred, and it's a minor. And I want to make sure to preface this properly, right? So we're not getting too ahead of ourselves and stuff, right? What's happening right now is a minor and temporary victory that's occurred in Chicago, where brothers and sisters have stood up in protest to the millions upon millions of dollars that's going to illegal immigrants throughout the city of Chicago. But when community organizers and community activists sought out those type of finances and resources, whether it be funds from the city or whether it be abandoned buildings, like I believe it was called the South Shore High School, right? Whenever they were asking for these funds and asking for help so that they can actually patrol and take care of their own communities on their own, they were always denied these things. But now, once all these illegal immigrants got bused to Chicago by Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, now all of a sudden, Chicago is making it rain, right? For them, and making sure that they have all the finances and resources that they need in order to get adjusted in Chicago, right? So the brothers and sisters over there have been protesting this heavy, right? And they have got this temporary hold that has occurred on the funds, right? And it's about time that we've seen something like this occur, right? Before I get too deep into the discussion, it's really about time, because oftentimes we're the ones on the opposite end of having whatever resources or assistance we may have coming our way halted. We're always at the opposite end of that. We've all seen how things have played out with Black farmers, right? When I believe it was American Rescue Plan came out, when that was signed into law, there was supposed to be money in there for, not specifically for Black farmers, but for, what's it called, disadvantaged farmers, right? So it wasn't exclusively for Black farmers, but as far as how it was sold to the public, this was going to be great for Black farmers. Well, what happened to that? The conservatives all throughout the country, particularly, like in places like Texas, and I believe like, other areas where, there's a lot of farming going on. They sued the government, got the money locked in litigation. And ultimately what happened is that, if I remember correctly, the Biden administration removed that provision, if I'm using that correctly, that provision, right, out of the American Rescue Plan. So they just didn't get any money at all, right? The Biden administration didn't fight for Black farmers at all. They just completely removed that part out of the American Rescue Plan, and Black farmers are just on their own. We saw the same thing happen during in the midst of the Big 19, as I would call it, right? In the midst of the health situation that we were dealing with in 2020, when there was supposed to be money that was going to Black businesses. I believe it was in Oregon. It's something that I covered on this channel as well, and I spoke on a couple times. I believe it was in Oregon, and what happened was money was given to businesses in areas that were predominantly illegal immigrants in Oregon, and no one had a problem with that. Everything was cool, fine, great. Help them out, let them get their little money and keep their little businesses and everything afloat, right? There was money diverted specifically to predominantly, I believe it was Chinese community over there, or AAPI community, we'll just say, in Oregon. Nobody cared. Everything was cool. Everything was fine. But the moment funds were specifically being withheld for Black businesses in Oregon, mind you, not just for Black people where we're just giving Black folks money, it was specifically for Black businesses in Oregon. As soon as they were getting ready to do that, all of a sudden, it was a white man, right, and a Mexican man who sued the state of Oregon, locking that money up in litigation so that the Black businesses could not receive those funds, right? So, like I said, I can go on and on. There's another example that I have in my head right now, but I don't want to beat a dead horse, right? But we're always on the opposite end of this. It's about time that we're the ones blocking the funds, right? But the difference between everybody else and us is that everybody else, it's on the basis of just hatred when it comes to Black folks. But what's happening in Chicago right now, as far as I'm concerned, is a righteous cause, because these are funds and resources that Black Chicago have been demanding and asking for, but they've been denied that. And now they're trying to give it to other people. So that's what we're going to get into. And I'm really glad that this is happening over there. I want to thank you very much, College of Natural Health and Science, BDA, for being the first person to contribute to today's live stream. Thank you very much. Your contribution is deeply, deeply appreciated. College of Natural Health Science, BDA, said, nice to see your face today, dear brother. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And also shout out to Percy. I believe it's a Miracle is the second person to contribute to today's show. Percy said, remember Jim Crow Joe told Black organizations and so-called Black leaders that we better get along with the Latino community. That's 100% what he said. Remember, he said there's going to be more of them than y'all. All right, that's what he told you. And just like that too, more of them than y'all. So you better get used to working with them, right? That's exactly what he told us. Now, let's get deeper into what I want to discuss, right? I don't want to get too far off track, mimicking Joe Biden, right? Because you all know me, I tend to lose my my memory very quickly with what I want to say. One thing too that's to be noticed and that should be highlighted, and another reason why I feel what's happening right now in Chicago needs to be championed and pushed forward as an example of what needs to be done and what we should be doing, right? In order to make sure that we are effectively changing local politics in the city that you live in. The reason I think it's so important to push this forward and for to elevate as people can see it is because what you'll notice is that the Democrats, right, liberal media, left-leaning media, are desperately trying to keep this under the rug. They don't really want to speak on this. They don't really want to bring light to it, right? Because it's a really bad look to show Black Americans in a Democratic Party city strongly opposing and pushing back against Democratic policies, particularly open borders in this situation. It's a bad look, and they don't want that influence to spread across the country. So that's another reason why I feel this is very important to put out there, because this is something that's being kept under wraps and hush hush in the mainstream. Now, there are also, I believe, in the northwest side of Chicago, right? The northwest side or north side where white Chicagoans live. They're having, protests and stuff over there too, and they're coming out in droves to speak with at town halls. And I believe a lot of it has also been inspired by Black Chicagoans on the south side. Now, I want to play what they're talking about, right? White Chicagoans on the north side. And I want to contrast that with what's happening on the south side. Okay. So let me get into this first, and then we're going to come back into the discussion. Oops, which one was it? Let me see. Give me just a second. I believe this is the correct one. Yes. Okay.
Foot was in, she agreed to have Chicago to be a sanctuary city. And where is she now? She's gone.
Another heated community meeting tonight over the placement of migrants.
This time, the city has its sights set on a Northwest Side college as temporary housing.
And a lot of neighbors do not like the idea. Tia Ewing is live with more. Tia.
Well, you said it there, John. A lot of neighbors do not like the idea. There was a lot of mixed emotion here, a lot of opinion from Portage Park residents and also residents from the Dunning community, all voicing their opinions about this move tonight. At times there was booing, at other times there was clapping. The meeting unfolded in the space where the asylum seekers would temporarily call home.
The room was filled to capacity at one point, Chicago residents making their voices heard.
You can be compassionate, but you can't be foolish.
As more than 8,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago since August of 2022, and that number is still going up as Chicago tries to deal with the crisis. On the table is the plan to house them here at Wilbur Wright College, many asking the question about the city's plans moving forward. What are you gonna do? Some on the Northwest Side support it.
We've all struggled along the way and needed help. Every one of us.
Well, Dwayne Williams, this is on the north. He said, dang, not a black person in sight so far. This is on the northwest side of Chicago, where white Chicagoans live. This isn't where black folks live.
It's time to pay it forward. These are people. They're not political pawns.
And many others don't.
We're inviting in like a magnet. Everybody come here, collect all your freebies. We're going to give it to you. Every sucker in here is going to pay for it.
Who's paying? Nobody wants the answer.
400 migrants would be housed at the college during the summer months from June 1st to August 1st. Classes would resume. Some question policing of the temporary shelter moving forward.
The police department is going to make frequent visits here, which means if they're making frequent visits here, they're not out there.
There's plenty of resources to staff providing safety. So Wright College is part of our community. So to understand that.
And then white folks turning up there. You know? KIPDR said Chicago is segregated as hell. Chicago is wildly segregated. It's a super segregated city. Let me finish playing this out. It's maybe about 20 seconds left.
Again, you heard it. That room was full of emotion. Now, a city official did tell me that they plan to give this plan to the city college's board to vote on this week. And if they vote yes, that means the migrants would be moving in ahead of that June 1st date. Live from the Dunning community, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
So we see what's going on over there, and shout out to Untried Genius. Said becoming a YouTube member. You were already a member, brother. You know, I guess you know, you dropped out for a little bit. You know, I understand. You know, pockets a little light sometimes. You know, unexpected. Didn't have enough funds in the bank. You know, membership tried to kick in and it bounced. It's all good, brother. It's all good. Untried Genius. You know, it's all good, bro. You know, it's, I've been there. You know, it happens. It happens. Oh man, but shout out to Untried Genius, man. We've been supporting this channel for a long time, and also thank you very much to those showing love on CashApp. Thank you very much. I believe the name is Felicia. And also thank you, Donald. You know, I don't like to say last names because just in case, you know. But thank you very much for showing love on today's stream. Now, it's definitely appreciated. Now there's a huge difference, right, that I want to highlight between what's going on the northwest side of Chicago, where the white Chicagoans are, and also from where the south side is, right, and what's going on with black folks. What you'll see is that, and this is also the reason why you'll see that the left, you know, media, right, CNN, MSNBC, and all that, why they don't want to really promote and talk about this stuff is because when you listen to what's happening on the northwest side of Chicago with white Chicagoans, they just simply don't want them there, right? They're not talking about the fact that they need resources, that they need assistance, and you didn't look out for us, so how are you going to look out for them and then force them in our community? No, they're talking about we just don't want them over here, you know, and then they go on and list their reasons for why they don't want them here. And there's another video, I believe it was a WGN9 video, where, you know, the Northwesterners, you know, were talking, and some of the stuff that they were saying concerning illegal immigrants were like, you know, okay, I don't know if I could play that one on YouTube, right? But that's what's happening over there. They just don't want them there. But when you look at what's happening on the south side of Chicago, they're saying you're giving them our resources that we need. You get what I'm saying? And we need that help. And this is exactly why you don't see this being played and talked about in the left, on the left mainstream media, right? Because it's a horrible look. It's easy to just look at the white Chicagoans on the Northwest side and dismiss them and say, oh, well, they're just, you know, xenophobes and racist and white supremacists, and they're probably MAGA, right? It's easy to dismiss them. It gets a little bit tricky though when you're talking about black folks on the south side who are supposed to be voting blue no matter who, but are very much so opposed to having illegal immigrants being imposed upon them in their community, where funds that should be going to the south siders are now going to other people. You get what I'm saying? It's really hard to spin that, and that's why you see they're not speaking on this at all, and that's why this is important to get this information out there. Now I want to get into the actual video of what happened during a city council meeting when protests erupted, led by his good brother Tyrone Muhammad. He interrupted the city council hearing that was going on, the city council meeting that was going on, and this is actually what led to the temporary stoppage of the $51 million. But before we get into that video, there are 546 of you all in the live chat, in the live stream right now. Please hit the like button if you have not already. Please hit the like button. There are 546 of you all. Hit the like button if you haven't. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. And also make sure you share this video out on your social media platforms as well, so people know that I'm live, and just to get this information out there, because this is very important. And also shout out to Jay the Informant for the support to the channel. Thank you very much, Jay the Informant, for showing love. Local politics matter. What up, chat? Yeah, local politics, in my opinion, and you've all heard me say this multiple times over the course of the last couple of years, or at least over the course of a year. In my opinion, local politics matter significantly more than national politics. Now, national politics definitely do matter, but local politics matter a great deal, if not more. Thank you very much for the support, Jay Freeman Blackman. First time catching live stream. I appreciate your support, Jay Freeman Blackman, and you know, that's what's up, man. I'm glad you're here in the live stream. And also shout out and thank you very much to the support for Mr. 1976. He said, keep up the good work. I definitely will. You know me, I'm always trying to put my best foot forward when it comes to presenting you all with correct and accurate information that we need and that needs to come out here. And shout out to my big homie, Mo Facts, best black news source, period. Thank you, Mo. Thank you. And also, thank you for those of you who are showing love on Cash App as well. Thank you very much, Eric. And thank you very much, Tyree. Now, what I want to do is let's get into the video of the protest that erupted during the city council. I believe it was a meeting that was being held where good brother Tyrone Muhammad, him and his crew came and interrupted what was going on. That then led and transpired to the $51 million being put on hold. So now let's get into that news clip.
In Chicago in need of housing and support, city leaders are up against the clock, figuring out where additional funding should help them, where the additional help, I should say, is coming from. WGN's Jewel Hillary has that story from City Hall.
Hi, good evening, Micah and Ray. So there are still plenty of questions concerning how the city of Chicago will continue supporting asylum seekers here in the city. Earlier today, the city council was expected to vote on a potential multi-million-dollar aid package for migrants, but that got tabled. During Wednesday's city council meeting, several aldermen delayed a possible vote on a proposal to designate $51 million towards supporting migrants that started arriving to Chicago last August.
We need to come up with a better solution. We need to come up with a better funding source.
Before any more money.
I just want to pause that there. Look at what these brothers in Chicago did. They put this money on hold and now have them re-strategizing. They have to now go back. What do you call it? The Brandon Johnson administration in Chicago now has to go back and re-strategize. Now that alderman is talking about, city councilman is talking about how we have to come up with a better way of funding. We have to come up with a better way of doing things. They weren't talking like that before those brothers interrupted the meeting that was going on and, spoke their piece and did what they did. You get what I'm saying? And it wasn't just that one situation. These people, these brothers and sisters in the South Side have been stomping the ground, trying to put the clamps on what's happening in Chicago. But I just wanted to highlight that so I don't forget. They have applied enough pressure currently to have halted the funds, and now has the Brandon Johnson administration having to re-strategize how we're going to go about doing this. I'm proud of what's going on over there. That's just me. I'm proud of what's happening in Chicago right now. Let me rewind it back a little bit.
Money is spent arriving to Chicago last August.
We need to come up with a better solution. We need to come up with a better funding source.
Before any more money is spent, 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez wants the new administration to create a cohesive citywide strategy to help the migrants in the near and distant future.
All of those things are unresolved, and yet we are asking taxpayers to basically be on the hook for nearly $250 million by the time we are done August to August.
Mayor Brandon Johnson has called the council back into session next Wednesday to discuss the crisis.
My hope is that next Wednesday, we can deliver on our commitment to make sure that we are providing the support that's needed.
It'll have a phase one that will.
We do.
Before this Wednesday's council meeting, a group of council members proposing a plan to help migrants got interrupted by community.
That's Tyrone Mohammed with the hat on backwards.
Organizers questioning resources for current residents lacking adequate housing and additional aid.
Commit to me that we first.
We're going to commit. We got my
commitment what?
We got my commitment to work with you to make sure that those meetings are addressed.
Mayor Johnson.
He said, commit to me that we first. And then the dude was like, oh yeah, we commit to you. Tyrone Muhammad was like, he said, commit what? That's what's up, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm sorry I keep interrupting. Let's get back into it. There's 612 of you in here right now. Please hit that like button if you have not already.
Johnson says he is dedicated to investing in overlooked Chicagoans.
Please pay close attention to this. And this is what I do not like Brandon Johnson at all. He is just another typical Democrat. That's all he is. And he's going to show that right now. You're going to watch benign neglect at its finest right here, coming from Brandon Johnson.
And additional aid.
I'm sorry. I'm just like acting a fool now. I just want to hear that again. When he was like, we're going to commit. He said, you're going to commit what? I just want to hear that one more time. I'm sorry. I just want to run that back.
Questioning resources for current residents lacking adequate housing and additional aid.
Commit to me that we first.
We're going to commit. We got my
commitment what?
We got my commitment to work with you to make sure that those meetings are addressed.
Mayor Johnson says he is dedicated to investing in overlooked Chicagoans.
We have to do right and support the families and the residents who have suffered in the city of Chicago for decades now.
By now,
I want you to notice Brandon Johnson can't even say black. He can't even say we're going to commit to black people. The news reporter said Brandon Johnson vows what he said to commit to underserved Chicagoans. Let me play it back one more time. But pay attention. Brandon Johnson can't even say he's going to commit to black Chicagoans and say he's going to do anything for black Chicagoans. He won't even say your name. He won't even say who you are. He refuses to address you, right? He refuses to address you properly. And that means he's not going to do anything for you unless enough pressure continues to be applied. He's not going to do anything unless he truly feels threatened, politically speaking, that is. Politically speaking. Let me run that back one more time.
Yeah, commitment what?
You got my commitment to work with you to make sure that those meetings are addressed.
Mayor Johnson says he is dedicated to investing in overlooked Chicagoans.
Who are overlooked Chicagoans? What does that even mean? Because it sure doesn't mean Black Chicagoans. Now listen to the lies and the benign neglect coming out of Brandon Johnson's mouth.
We have to do right and support the families and the residents who have suffered in the city of Chicago for.
Who are the family and the residents who have suffered in the city of Chicago the most? Who is he talking about? Who is he talking about? If he can't say Black Chicago, if he can't say your names, that means he is not going to do anything for you unless the pressure that's being applied on him now continues. He's not going to do anything. And he came into office knowing he wasn't going to do anything for you. But when he did come into office, he knew exactly what he was going to do for these so-called migrants. He knew what he was going to do, and he spoke it out loud. But when it comes to you, he won't even say your name. Amazing. That's simply amazing.
For decades now.
By next week's council meeting, Alderman Ray Lopez hopes the new administration can answer several questions concerning funding for asylum seekers.
Where the money has been spent, where it's going to be spent, and what we're going to do moving forward in a citywide fashion.
Alderman Lopez says the city is currently spending about $20 million per month on migrants. He says if the council does vote to use that
$20 million per month. That is insanity.
$51 million for asylum seekers, that'll only get the city through about 2 months. Reporting from City Hall, I'm Jewel Hillary, WGN News.
Brandon Johnson isn't about nothing. Brandon Johnson doesn't care about Black people. Okay, he doesn't care about Black Chicago at all. Don't let him fool you with all that West Side talk. Okay, and I'm gonna get into that in just a second. But shout out to Val Williams. Thank you very much, Val Williams, for showing your support to the channel and for doing it in the middle of the stream, not at the end of the stream where you try to trick me and keep me on longer. So shout out to Val Williams for being a team player and supporting in the middle of the stream for once. Val said, "TD, I agree with Deneen. You should show your face. You and Rob are too nice looking to hide your faces." Well, thank you very much, Val Williams. I appreciate that, but you're going to get me in trouble with my wife. Okay. Shout out also to Tom Slick, man, always coming through just like Val Williams, and a lot of you always coming through and showing love. And I deeply appreciate that. Tom Slick says, yep. And they voted for him. So I'm saying, come on now, you know what I mean? But fortunately, it appears, at least right now, we're activating and we're getting a little act right in us, right? Hopefully, this is something that will continue. Hopefully, this is something that will remain consistent. Because if the pressure that's being currently applied on the Brandon Johnson administration by our Black brothers and sisters on the South Side of Chicago, if this continues, right, then what could possibly happen, because I'm not a fortune teller, but what could possibly happen is that Brandon Johnson will then be forced to divert resources and finances into Black communities in Chicago, right? In order to get these protests to pipe down. Because once again, we are in election season. Biden is trying to get back into office and reelected. And it is a very, very, very bad look, like I said earlier, to have a Democratic city like Chicago and have their Black citizens, right, of Chicago who are supposed to be vote blue no matter whoers, because, you know, Black folks, we just vote Democrat, you know, that's our religion, right? You know, it's a really bad look for them to be rising up against Democratic policies the way that they are. And they definitely don't want that influence to spread throughout the greater body of Black America, across the country. So that's why this is being made really, really hush hush right now. And like I said, I do believe that if Tyrone Mohammed and all of those who are behind him and with him, or all those who he's working alongside with, continue to apply this pressure consistently, I think that they can actually get something out of it. I think they could actually get something out of it for Black Chicagoans and actually work towards fortifying Black Chicago, right? So also, thank you very much, Adrian Hicks, for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that I've been receiving. It's very much appreciated and very much humbling when you all, show support to the channel the way that you have. So I just want to make sure that you all know that. Thank you very much. It does not go unnoticed, and it is not unappreciated. It is deeply and very much appreciated. Now, I want to go back to what I was saying earlier, right? And there are 651 in here. I was going to say 651 million. There are 651 of you in here right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the like button and share this video out on your social media platforms so people know that I'm live and so that this information can get out there, because it needs to get out there. It's being swept under the rug, and we can't afford for this to be swept under the rug. Okay, so let's do that, please. Now, what I want to do is very quickly, and some of you have seen this already because I posted this on my Twitter page, right? I posted this maybe like a week ago, but I want to, read this off to you now, because Brandon Johnson came into office knowing full and well what he was going to do for illegal immigrants. He had his plan laid out. He had a whole plan laid out for them. And I want you to see how, when it comes to them, and this is also the case for all other groups, not just illegal immigrants, this is the case for everybody, whether we're talking about the LGBT, whether we're talking about the AAPI community, doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. They will have a plan clearly laid out for these folks as it pertains to what they are going to do for them when they get into office. But when it comes to you, you get that benign neglect policy of, struggling neighborhoods and underserved, underprivileged communities, right? They won't say Black. Brandon Johnson, who loves, I'm glad I remembered it because I almost forgot. Brandon Johnson loves to sit up here and talk about how he's from the South Side. The West Side. Oh, the West Side. Brandon Johnson's always talking about the West Side. Oh, a mayor from the West Side. If you remember in his inauguration where he said, I see a lot of West Siders in here tonight. Hey. And if you don't know, now you know. They just use that as clout. I'm sorry. I need a drink of water. They use being from the West Side and from these, these areas as just clout, man. It's clout. It's just something that they say so that they can draw a connection with Black Chicago, knowing that they won't do anything for Black Chicago. The same way how when Barack Obama was running for president, they were hyping up the fact, Black president, slavery, civil rights, Martin Luther King. They built this entire story of Black American struggle around, right, Barack Obama. And they made it appear as if all of the history of Black America, the struggle and everything that they've gone through, have brought us to this point where we're going to elect the first Black president, right? They sell you on this stuff for the purposes of making a connection with you, but never actually tell you what they're going to do for you. And then once we all know, obviously, right? Because we all witnessed, you had 8 years of the first so-called Black president. He's, biracial. Was he half Kenyan, half white? But, I'll leave it alone, right? The first biracial president. And that was supposed to be some sort of big win for Black America, which it wasn't. It turned out to be a win for every other group except Black America. Brandon Johnson is nothing more than another Barack Obama. And if we're just keeping it to what's happening in Chicago, Brandon Johnson is nothing more than Lori Lightfoot 2.0. He's Lori Lightfoot 2.0. Now, before I get into that article, shout out, thank you very much, Michael Davis, for the 10,000 COP. I'm not sure what COP is, but thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much, Michael. He says, salute to you. Great message. Thank you for covering this story. Absolutely. Absolutely. And shout out to C King as well. C King said, hey, what was that show you did about U.S. government lawsuits? I'm not sure. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I spoke on it actually last Sunday. I rebroadcasted a live stream I did 2 years ago titled Black Americans Will Be Politically Finished by 2030. If you go to the homepage and you seek that out in the section that says commentary, you'll see it right away. In that live stream that I did, I highlighted those articles, right? Where resources were being blocked by other people from other communities. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So that's where I did that at. And shout out Big G. Thank you, Big G, for the support to the channel. Big G says, keep up the great work exposing these lying hypocrites. I definitely will do. And thank you for all of you who have contributed to the channel today. It is definitely much appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Now, let's get into this article here. Because like I said, Brandon Johnson always knew what he was going to do for everybody else. And he always knew he was going to do nothing for you. That's why he won't even say your name. He won't say Black. So let's get into this right now. Let me pull this up on the screen. And I'm going to read a little bit of this off for you. Okay. And then we're going to get out of here. We're going to shut this down. Right. But this article right here is titled Chicago mayoral candidate Brandon Johnson unveils plan to support migrants. Right. Now, this was obviously this came out before he became mayor. Right. But he was very clear, knowing exactly what he was going to do for them. Meanwhile, completely ignoring you and only giving you that, oh, the West Side. I'm from the West Side talk. Right. Shout out to Linda Jennings. Linda Jennings said, my first time here. Excellent show. Thank you very much, Linda Jennings. I appreciate your contribution to the channel. Thank you very much. It is definitely needed and appreciated. Let's jump into this article right now. Right. One mayoral candidate from Chicago announced his plan to increase funding for migrants on Monday at the Plaza of Americans. Brandon Johnson plans to increase funding for migrants if he is elected as Chicago mayor. I'm going to repeat that again. Brandon Johnson plans to increase funding for migrants if he is elected as Chicago mayor. He knew good and well one of the first things he was going to do when he got into office was lock in that $51 million for them. He knew that. And he knew good and well he wasn't about to do anything for Black Chicagoans, especially for those on the West Side. If you don't know, now you know, right? He knew he wasn't going to do nothing for them. I'll just pay you lip service by saying, hey, I'm from the West Side too. Okay. Now, let's continue on. As he looks to close the gap in the race and gain voters, Brandon Johnson announced his plan for migrants. Johnson called his idea the Immigrant Justice Plan. He wants the city to provide resources for migrants when they arrive in Chicago. The mayoral candidate wants to increase funding. I'm going to repeat it again. The mayoral candidate, I'm yelling. Let me calm down. You know I don't like yelling like that. Let me calm down. The mayoral candidate wants to increase funding and support for migrants. Okay. But he couldn't tell you at all what he was going to do for you, Black Chicago, the West Side, right? If you don't know, now you know. Couldn't tell you anything. Couldn't tell you anything. Now, I want to show you also as well why and how he's nothing more than an extension of Lori Lightfoot. He's nothing more than Lori Lightfoot 2.0, right? Because this 51 million that he's about to add is his 51 million, okay? But prior to that, 100+ million was already given by way of Lori Lightfoot. And to show this to you, I'm going to pull up a couple tweets from another brother out of Chicago who is well known. His name is Jamal Green. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. But in the words of Brandon Johnson, if you don't know, now you know. Now let's get into it. This is Jamal Green, right? And here's what he had to say. And he was responding to videos that had came out showing the good brother Tyrone Muhammad stomping the ground for black folks, interrupting that city council meeting, right? Jamal Green wrote, Chicago, please send a message to your aldermen to vote no tomorrow to approve another $51 million for the migrant crisis. Okay? Mind you, that's Brandon Johnson's $51 million. He continues to write, we are already at $125 million in 4 months. That's Lori Lightfoot's money. We are already at $125 million in 4 months. Call Joe Biden. Our communities need that money. 20,000 homeless youth. No mental health facilities. No grocery stores. Lead in our pipes. This is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. But to be fair, and if I don't want to say this is pushback, but because I'm not pushing back against Jamal Green, but also to be fair, right? Or I feel like that's not the word that I'm looking for. But as ridiculous as it is, black folks, we got to stop the ridiculousness of just blindly voting Democrat for the sake of voting Democrat. You just vote blue no matter who, not getting anything in return. Letting these folks run this benign neglect game on you over and over and over and over again, where they just make you feel good because they're from the West Side, just like I'm from the West Side. You're from the South Side, just like I'm from the South Side. It's very reminiscent. What Brandon Johnson, his rhetoric is very reminiscent of the rhetoric of Jamal Bowman, right? Of Jamal Bowman. Remember the video that I played for you guys, 2 days ago on the live stream when Jamal Bowman was asked by Tiffany Cross, what does the Congressional Black Caucus actually do for Black Americans? And he couldn't answer it. But then he immediately diverted to all this nonsense about the streets. Oh, well, we got to come to the streets. And when we come to the streets and Congress won't come to you, you got to come to Congress, but we come to the streets and we from the hood and we got to change the dress code to represent the streets. Why is there always this street talk when we talk about Black America? That is so annoying. I can't relate. I don't know nothing about that street talk. I don't know anything about the streets is going to come to you and they're going to come to me and we're going to change the dress code because we all from the street. I don't know nothing about the streets. Talk to me like you're talking to an intelligent adult and tell me exactly what's going to be done. What are your policies? They never do. They never do, especially when we're talking about what's specifically going to be for Black Americans. They just talk foolishness and nonsense to you about being from the West Side, being from the South Side, being from the streets, so on and so forth. All of that stuff is garbage. It means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Let's carry on with what the good brother Jamal Green was saying, right? So now he further goes on to state, as he tweets below, he commented on his own tweet or, created a thread, you can say. Don't let them fool you. And he's talking about Brandon Johnson. He didn't name Brandon Johnson by name, but he's talking about Brandon Johnson. All right, because Brandon Johnson is the one who keeps talking about this. Don't let them fool you with the we can do both BS. I'm going to repeat that again. Jamal Green said, don't let them fool you with the we can do both BS. If you can do both, why haven't you ever done anything? Black people always lose over and over again. I'm tired of it. And I 100% agree with them. I'm tired of it too. If they were going to do something, they would have done something, but they don't. My brothers just interrupted. And he was talking. This video actually got removed by Twitter. Jamal Green didn't remove this video. This was the original video of Tyrone Muhammad, and the crew barging in on the city council meeting, and Twitter actually removed it. He didn't remove it, right? But Jamal Green goes on to say, let me hit show more, right? My brothers just interrupted the press conference trying to shove through another $51 million for migrants. Byron Shigcho, who was Byron? Who is this? Okay, let's click on Byron's profile, right? Look at who he's hugged up with, right? Alderperson of the 25th Ward. Look at that. They shout out to Brian Shigcho Lopez and Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson, he knows who he's getting behind. He knows who he's throwing all his money behind, right? He knows who he's about to support. So, okay, let's go back to the original tweet. Brian Sigcho is no friend to the black community, yet you just saw Brandon Johnson hugged up with him. Okay. Brian Shigjo is no friend to the black community. He is leading an agenda to wipe black folks out. As Tyrone said, we have ex-felons who don't have housing. Communities are suffering, but migrants get $175 million in 6 months. In 6 months, right? Jamal Green just said this man is no friend to the black community, but we see Brandon Johnson hugged up all over him. Understand this is deeper than just, we just kind of linked up to have a conversation. No. They're working side by side to undermine Black Chicago. The evidence is there. When Brandon Johnson can't even say your names. He won't even say Black Chicago. He won't say black. He refuses to do it. Okay. He came into office. All right. He came into office while he was running, telling you exactly what he was going to do for them. He had a name for it and everything, the Immigrant Justice Plan, and was very clear and specific about the mayoral candidate wants to increase funding and support for migrants. And that's exactly what he's attempted to do. That is exactly what he is currently attempting to do. But fortunately, like I said, shout out to Tyrone Muhammad, him and all the other good brothers and sisters that have been stomping the yard to, at least for now, put a temporary halt to it. They've done that. And they've applied enough pressure to force Brandon Johnson to now have to reconvene, right? And readjust and re-strategize. Because like I said, it's not a good look for the Democrats in the middle of an election when you're trying to get Biden reelected. It's not a good look to have these black folks in a Democratic city who are supposed to be voting blue no matter who, being very vocally against these Democratic policies, particularly that of open borders. It's not a good look. There are 848 of you in here right now. Please make sure you hit the like button. Hit the like button if you have not already. And I guess, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. That's really all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much to somebody on Cash App named showed some love. So I want to thank you, and just for everybody, on your way out, please hit the like button. And if you have not already, please follow me on Telegram. I just left the Telegram link in the live chat. Hit that link and follow me on Telegram. I think currently I have 180 some odd followers on Telegram. My goal is to get that to 1,000 followers on Telegram by the end of this year. You guys being on Telegram helps get around the whole shadow banning situation that goes on social media and YouTube, right? So in between the text, being a part of the text group, and you can be a part of the text group by texting tdhiphop to number 33222. Text tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I go live, right? That helps us get around the shadow banning. And once again, also, I just left the link and I'll leave it one more time, okay? Follow me on Telegram. Please follow me on Telegram. The link is in the live chat below. It is also pinned it will be pinned in the comment section after the stream is over, and it is also currently in the description box below. A couple more thank yous before we get out of here. Thank you very much to with our eyes rise with our eyes rise says thank you for what you do. Search the song Black Force Reparations. I'll look into that. I will look into that. Thank you very much for your contribution. Also, thank you very much, J Blue 88 Hood Gamer, for the super chat. Malcolm X stated Democrats can't be trusted. No, they cannot. They cannot be trusted at all, whatsoever. And also, thank you very much, lastly, to Kevin for the super chat. I thank you all for the love and support you've showed me today. It's definitely takes a while. It takes a minute to compile all this information together and then to get my thoughts together on how I'm going to convey the message. So when you all contribute the way that you have, you see I got my little notes right here. When you all contribute the way that you have today, it greatly helps. It helps a lot. It really, really does. So thank you all. I feel that today was a great discussion, a very fruitful discussion. And I will catch you all next Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time going live. And, I may drop a live in the middle of next week as well. And then also watch out for the pre-recorded upload. So please hit that like button on your way out. And I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.